Hi everyone. Before I get started, I just wanted to say that I so appreciate all the support that I've gotten doing this. It really means a lot to me. I have had a few people reach out to me and tell me that my videos are giving them strength to be able to talk about their abuse. I've had one girl who left a religious organization who went through much worse abuse than I ever could imagine going through. Tell me that these were helping her. So that's why I'm doing this. As hard as it may be to talk about things so personal, I know that it's reaching people and it's helping me too. So thank you again for watching. And continuing on, I was going to talk about my sister some more and what happened after the last incident with our relationship. So I think that my sister really wanted to get back at her husband, and she used me to kind of go along with her to make her feel like she wasn't doing it alone. So they really became, their marriage got rough. I'm not going to go into details about their story because that's theirs, but they didn't spend a lot of time together after that, and she was with me all the time. It was like things picked up where they left off, only she had a lot more she thought she could hold over me now. So anytime, she wanted me to go anywhere with her, I went. I felt like I owed it to her. She made me feel like I owed it to her. So I remember one night she had been working out at this gym, 24 Hour Fitness, and she met this guy that was a twin, and she started a relationship with him, and she wanted me to meet his twin brother. So we had arrangements. At this time I was 18, so we had arrangements to hang out with them at their house a couple of times, and I got to know the brother, and I did like him. He was showing interest in me. I thought he was attractive, but it was all very, very new. So at this point, besides my abuse, I had never had a real relationship besides the boy that I liked that was a Jehovah's Witness, and we would go skating every Sunday and we would hold hands. We had kissed maybe once or twice by the time I was 18. That's it. I had not had any other experiences besides with him, and very innocent. So one night we went over to the brother's house that liked me and I liked him, and we were hanging out and we were drinking, and my sister said, I'm gonna go home with this guy, his brother, so you're gonna stay here. And I started to panic because I didn't want to be alone with him, and I said, what are you talking about? And she said, it'll be fine, have fun, don't do anything I wouldn't do, which doesn't mean anything. So I definitely was panicking, and she left, said goodbye, and left me there. So I knew he wanted to sleep with me, and if I was staying overnight, that was probably what was going to happen. I also felt like I didn't have a choice in the matter after everything I'd been through. I was like, great, this is happening and there's nothing I can do about it. But he kept saying, like, don't worry, I'm gonna make this special for you. Don't worry. So he lit some candles, and anyways, it was awkward. So I lost my virginity that night, and I remember him making a comment to me and saying, you're funny. And I said, why? And he said, I'm just not used to girls just laying there, not moving and not making any sounds. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't really know what I'm supposed to do. And he was like, it's fine, it'll get better. Well, after that, it ended up, he started to abuse me he started to ask me to do things I didn't want to do, but I felt like I had to. I didn't feel like I had a right to my body. I didn't feel like that anyone else's feelings were more important than mine, that what they wanted was more important than me. And I talked to my sister about a little bit of it, but I didn't say abuse because I didn't know it was abuse. I just thought it was normal, but I'd say like, he did this, and she was like, oh yeah, I've done that. That's normal. It's fine. And then she would talk about all the things that she liked about them. Well, it turns out he was sleeping with a lot of other girls at the time, and I ended up breaking up with him when I found out. And I ended up having I didn't have a lot of relationships after that because I became really scared. But soon after that, I did get married to my first husband. But I'll go into that later. So my sister, continuing with that, I constantly was guilted into babysitting for her and watching her boys as they got older and older. And I didn't mind so much because those boys brought me so much happiness. And like I said before, I love them as my own children. I still do. They're amazing kids, and they just brought me joy. So I would always say yes. But even if I had plans or I couldn't, she would say, don't you think it's the least that you could do for me? And I'd always cancel my plans and be there. Another thing that happened was she would tell me, I remember an instance that a friend of ours, well, it was her friend, but I thought that she was a friend of mine too once I got to know her, but she was very rude to me whenever she would come over to the house, to her house. And when she left, I said, I swear she does not like me. I said, I just can tell she really doesn't like me. And my sister said, yeah, she doesn't. And I said, why? And she said, because I told her what happened. And I said, why did you do that? And she said, because I was trying to deal with what happened and I needed to talk about it. And she said, I literally told everyone. And I said, what's everyone? And she said, our family, all my friends. She's like, but that's what I needed to do. And that's just part of, they're forgiving, they'll forgive you. And it really, really hurt me. It made me cry. I remember feeling very, very judged by everyone around me. And, the more that I talked to people, it would get brought up the older I got, with my friendships that, I heard what happened. Is this true? Did this happen? And so over the years, there was more and more people asking me about it. And I realized, she really, really did tell anyone and everyone that she could. And that was kind of when I started seeking therapy and getting help, because it was overwhelming and it was painful. And I started to distance myself from her once I was in therapy. I realized this was a toxic relationship. I realized that the abuse wasn't my fault. And once I started to get the strength to break away from her, because I never had it before, it really changed our relationship, but it also really made her angry because she started to lose control. So first, I want to talk about the second time I got disfellowshipped. I have been disfellowshipped 4 times. So the second time I got disfellowshipped, I had been feeling guilt about premarital sex and having sex with that boy. So for a while, my sister wasn't doing anything really spiritually. She was going through the motions, but she was living her own life, and I was doing the same thing. So I ended up getting my own apartment at 19. And I was drinking a lot on the weekends, and I was dating, and I was very unhappy. And I started to talk to my parents more about how I wanted to straighten out my life. And, they were just encouraging me to come back to the meetings and come back to the congregation and talk to the elders. So that's what I did, because I was trying to find happiness. And anytime you distance yourself, you really do lose. Even though if you're not disfellowshipped, people can still talk to you. They don't associate with you, most of them. So I decided to go back to the elders and tell them about my life and what had happened and where I was at. They decided that I was not repentant, that because of my past with my brother-in-law, that it was a repeated offense, that it was something obviously that I enjoyed and wanted to happen. So they disfellowshipped me and, encouraged me to just keep going to the meetings, and it would take about a year and that I could come back to the congregation. And for a while, I was really upset that happened, because I felt like what I really needed was encouragement and love and help from people. I didn't need to be excommunicated from them. I didn't need to be distanced or isolated from them. So for a while it got worse, where I was drawn to people that weren't Jehovah's Witnesses at my work. And, I just started drinking more and, going out every weekend again. And it got old. I got tired of it. So I started to go back to meetings. And so that took a year, and I was only back for about a year. And I was never really a really strong Jehovah's Witness. I always had friends that were not Jehovah's Witnesses and friends that were. And I think that that's partly why I'm all right. But anyway, I went to the river one day with a friend of mine, and a guy was there from high school that I knew, and we were never really friends. I mean, we were acquaintances, but we never actually were friends in high school, and we never hung out. But we had the best time. We had a ton of fun, and he was really outgoing and funny. And so after that day at the river, we started to date, and we went out every weekend. And eventually I married him. I moved in with him first because I didn't want to live at home. There was a lot of rules, a lot of structure, a lot of control at home. So I moved in with him, and I knew that was going to be disfellowshipping, but I started to think, well, it's just for a year, and then I'll come back, and then I'll teach him that this is the right religion, and then he'll come in. Well, that didn't work out very well at all. It ended up being a very unhealthy relationship. He was raised also in a very controlling religious organization. And so we ended up both trying to convert each other, which just ended up in fighting nonstop all the time. He had addictions. I had emotional trauma, and we had no idea how to communicate. It was a mess. So we were married for 4.5 years, and I left him. I moved back in with my parents, and as long as, so I did get disfellowship for that also. I had to go to the brothers and tell them when I wanted to come back, and they disfellowshipped me for, again, premarital sex, immorality, the same thing that I was judged for. They just think I'm a hot mess at this point, that I can't get anything together. And so I moved back home with my parents, which, if you are disfellowshipped, you can only talk to your family if you live with them, and they are allowed to let you in as long as you're going to go to meetings. So that was what I did. But as soon as I could, I got out on my own, and I got an apartment with my best friend. So I'm going to stop here. I have to go to work, but I will continue more as soon as I can. So thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.